Okay, so I will start with XRP, and I'll start with this chart at the moment. Just let's have a quick zoom out. You can see the two support and resistance lines here, and here's the channel, and here we are looking to take a trip back down, and we're just on this journey of sideways, playing in a tight range at the moment. And you can see this smaller triangle here. We said we broke out of it, and we're bounced back into it at the moment. So now let's have a look and see. Let's have a look and see where we are. Yeah. So just very simply is on the 1 hour. You can see the green line here, the 50 SMA, the 200 SMA. The red line, and just as a simple pattern, you can see that when you zoom out, that, and just if we just compare the two previous consolidation cycles, just as a general, just as a pattern, is when you can see the top out here, and here we are. So the three basic stages of the same consolidation. Yeah, you can see as an example on this one where you can see the 50 come up, and then as part of this consolidation cycle we get the breakdown, and the 50 breaks the 200 here. Yeah, so we're in and around this part of the general consolidation cycle. And when you zoom in here on this one, you can see when the 50 breaks, there's a drop, and then there's two back tests of the 200 before we get the drop. Yeah. Now on this one here, there's a lot more sideways here, but you can see again when the 50 drops, breaks the 200 again on the top of this consolidation cycle, is we get the strip back to the bottom. Again, you can see now there's no, well, I suppose there is a double back test here, although it's above the 200, and then the 50 drops, and again we have our move down. Yeah. So just generally, when you look at it and you go, okay, we're back at our top here, is we're working our way down. The 50 is after breaking the 200. We're getting our double back test here. So potentially we could be coming down for a drop. Now we have you can see there's a bit of a zone that's being played out here. Yeah. So we do need to break below 37.30 or so. We do need to break below that. Could we continue to range in it a little bit more? Yes, we could. Yeah, could we have something like this and back up like this? Yeah, we could have that. Could it even head on up to do a 42? Yes, but I think that's sort of past now, I believe. Yeah. But we definitely could have a bit more of a ranging here. Yeah. We could have one more trip up and down possibly. Yeah. But it does look like it's on. It does look like it's on its way. It's only a matter of time. Yeah. And when we have a look at the MAs. And I'm going to zoom out. Last night, the only one that turned on the daily was the daily. The daily turned, and it looked like we were going to head for a bigger drop. Yeah, because when I take the candles off for a sec, you can see that the 5 MA here, the orange one, has broken through the 200 MA, which is pretty significant. The 10, the blue, and the 10 MA and the white 20 EMA. 20 EMA again is taking a proper dip down here as well, both moving together. And then the 20 MA, this pink one here, you see it here, is ready to take a turn down. But price action broke through again, and again we get the back test up to 200. So then the question is this the last back test of the 200 before we get that move down? Excuse me, before we get that move down. And again, it's quite possible that we get the move down in waves. Okay, so we could get a drop down to 34 or so, lift up, and then a further wave down. And I reckon we have a target, a good target of about 26, between the I think 25.5 range and 27 range. We have a target, yeah. So there'll be a couple of moves. There'll be a couple of waves down, yeah. It's just a question of when this drops, is where does this first wave go, yeah. We may get a range of anywhere between I'd say 36. This in here. When this drops first, we may get a range of between 36 and 34. So that it's neater, yeah. Is once this drops, now as I said, there may be a bit more consolidation here, but once it drops, is we could get a move like this. It might even want to take a couple of moves, and we find ourselves in a range here of between I'd say between 27 or so 27 or so and 25.5, yeah. So we gotta watch out for that, yeah. There might be a touch again around 30 to 31. We get moves like this, yeah. Something like this, pattern wise on the way down, yeah. And that's if it wants to go down systematically. We could just get something like this, and it just drops. We get something fast. We get something fast moving, yeah. And again, similar to this. If it decides to just go, it could just go, yeah. So we just need to get the ball rolling with regards. This needs to give here. This needs to eventually give, yeah. So now, what will that take? What will that take? Excuse me. There is a lot of pressure coming down today. As much as price action spiked back up, you can see that there's a long wick on the day so far, yeah. So there's a strong rejection away from the 200 and the 20 and the 5 here. So a strong push away. We'll see if this candle stays green for the day, or will we get a red one by the end of the day, yeah. Now tomorrow, just to look at asking the question, what will break this, yeah? What will finally have it come down, yeah? Is tomorrow we have the 2-day. The 2-day is going to turn tomorrow as well, yeah. Friday, yes. Okay, so again, we need, for continuation down with the VWAP, we need price action back down below 38.40 for continuation of the VWAP. If that happens, is on the daily, the 20 MA should take a turn down, yeah. So the 20 MA, this pink one, the 20 MA, this pink one should take a turn down. So if the 20 to MA takes a turn down tomorrow, the 10 MA on the 2-day takes a turn down. that should create the push down. Yeah. Having a look, the 3-day turns tomorrow as well. So again, we need price action below 38.43 for the VWAP to continue down. And then if the 5 MA on the 3-day takes a turn down, again that will trigger a push down as well. Yeah. And there's the 4. The 4 is not turning until the 11th. The 5 is turning on the 12th. And again, the 6th day is not turning until the 9th, which is tomorrow. So the 6th day is turning tomorrow. So again, for price action to continue down on the 6th day, is the VWAP is at 38.57 now, and the 5 MA is at 38.30. So again, we need price action to be generally below there. Yeah. And again, you can see if that's the case, is we'll have the continuation of the VWAP on the 5 on the 6th day, and even more so is that the 10 here is going to make a big move down. Yeah, so the 10 on the 6th day is going to be applying a lot of pressure. So you can see incrementally is the pressure for the down is increasing more and more. So the 10 will be down around here, which again starts to apply more pressure. Yeah. Equally, that happened on the 4-day when the 4-day turned. Is the 10 is coming down with a lot more pressure. It's just a matter of when will this 5 bend? Yeah, because you can see on the 3-day is you can see the crossing of the 5 and 10. So again, we'd be looking for the as a move down is the 5 turns and it'll drop. Yeah, and look, they're both below the 50 here. It's the 50 MA. Yeah. Equally, here's the 2-day, and again, look, the bending of the 10. Excuse me, the bending of the 10s where the 5 10s build together, and here's the 20s on their way down as well. Yeah, and again, the breaking of the 100s as a support here. Yeah, so you can see it's working up to that. And then equally is it's like the 1-day is again did a lift today, holding price action in place while the rest of the days get themselves in alignment, that you get that tipping point. So there's a consolidation. We're in a consolidation phase now, waiting for that to break. And again, I'm of the opinion that my conservative thought is, I've given it to you already, that we get a drop. We can give a retrace, a drop, a retrace, a drop. That's the conservative one. I also believe that the range of 27 to 25.5 is also a conservative range, because I'm looking at these daily MAs and the way they move, and it could be a bigger substantial move as well. Yeah. And what I mean by that is when I'm looking at the weekly, again, you can see I'd spoken about this when the week turned earlier on in the week, is that price action will get down to the 5 MA. And then the question is the weekly here, the 5 MA in the weekly, is it going to stop it? Is it going to be support? Or can we break it and turn it back into resistance and pressure down? Yeah. So now you can see at the moment is that it has come, price action dropped to the weekly here again at 37.44. So you can see this double bottom here, is we need to see this broken. But again, when we see this broken, is then that spills. Again, we have to push down for the weekly as well, and equally with the MA here. Yeah. So you can see the battle that's going on. So as the days go on, and as the days slowly start to turn more and more, is putting more and more pressure on the 5 and the weekly for a spill. Yeah. Now the stock RSI in the weekly is down. It's halfway down. So the pressure is the trend is for the down with the stock RSI. Yeah. And then equally, what is supporting that pressure is the 2-week. The 2-week on the stock RSI is also applying a lot of pressure. So you can see the 5. If you look at remember we talked about spills and MAs spilling over. is you can see when you look at the 2 week here, and you can see where the 20 EMA, the 55, sorry, the 20 EMA, the pink one, 55 EMA, 20 EMA, it's the 400, is this the 400? I always have to check the 400. The 50, sorry, the 50 SMA, I always get confused with those colours, are moving along here, and the 10 is coming down strong here, and then, sorry, the 5 is coming down strong here, and then the 10 is coming over like this. Again, this is all looking like a spill mode. This is all looking like it's set up for spill. The stock on the 2 week has turned down as well. So again, there's a pressure building for that push down. Yeah. Now, just on a more longer time frame, you can also see the way the 50 is floating over like this on the 2 week. So at some point, there's 70 cents. At some point, price action is going to bounce up to here. Yeah. So I reckon that if I'm reading this properly, is we'll get our drop down here, and once we get our drop down here, is we're going to have a rally, and that rally is going to take us up to somewhere around the 70 mark. Yeah. I do believe we're going to have a lower low before we hit that rally. Now, if I call it really short, is I definitely think we're going to have a drop down to at least 30, 31, and then head up here. But it does look like we're going to have a much bigger drop down, and then we'll have our rally up to 70 or so. That's what it seems like. Yeah. So now, then the monthly. Why am I persisting with the push down? Because if you look at what the month turn, look at the turn on the 20 on the month. So this has gone sideways. This is a significant indication of a push down on the 20. Even though it's a wave price action, there's a strong push down indicating here. Yeah. Equally, the 10 is dropping. 20 EMA, the 10 MA is dropping. Price action is below the Bollinger Band. The 5 has gone sideways. It was a little up. The further down this price action goes, the 5 is bending and bending. The VWAP is pushing down, and price action is below the VWAP. So for the monthly, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure coming down. Yeah. So even if this month ends up with a Christmas rally, is quite possible that we need to get a push down before we get a push up. And that's what it looks like. If the Bollinger at the bottom of the month is at 18 cents, this is what my more pushed out target is, that we get a flash crash down to around 18 cents. I still have that on the radar. Where's my chart that I want to show you? Where is my? I think I passed it. Where is it? Is this it? No, this is my Wyckoff accumulation chart. Okay. Where the hell is it? I'll show you this one while we're here. Yeah. I haven't forgotten about the 4-day chart, where when you get a bullish divergence on the 4-day, there is a tendency for there to be a drop before you get a pump. The same thing I was talking about. You get the push down before we get the push up. Yeah, and that has happened since 2019. There has been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullish divergences on the 4-day. And on 1, 2, 3 of them, there have been clear pumps before the dumps. This one is a mixed bag. And then this one here, the orange one, is price action came back level with the trigger point in the bullish divergence. Price action came back level with the trigger point before it went up. So at a minimum, with this bullish divergence here, at a minimum, price action should be coming back level. Price action should be coming back level to about a 32.91. At a minimum, we're looking at price action coming to 32.91. Yeah, is more likely is that we're going to get a drop. get a drop. And there's two ranges that these drops happen in. It's either a 35% drop or a 57% drop. Most likely, I believe it's a 57% drop. Let's have a look. Is after this red candle here, to follow the pattern of the previous ones, you get a green candle, which we got. After that, we get a red candle. Again, previously price action will be lower. It went up and topped out here, and then after that you get a drop that happens pretty fast. Now, whether it's 35 or 57%, you get a fast drop. Yeah. Now this is not a fast drop. You can see the sideways consolidation here, and I've shown you the monthly, the 2 week, the weekly, all the pressure for the down, and then I've shown you the dailies and how the dailies are gradually at a tipping point. So I think when the 20 MA on the daily finally takes a turn down, I think that's when the pressure tips over. Yeah. And I think the daily is already ready to do it. It's just waiting on a couple of the other MAs on the multiple days to have a turn as well. Yeah. Excuse me. And then I think we'll start seeing long red candles. Yeah. Now that's the way it looks like. So now I'm gonna the TA is looking exactly like that. Is the only reason why I can see from my TA why it could go up now is market makers. Market makers want to turn price action and just take it up. They can. Doesn't matter what the TA says. They can just flip it and pump it up. Yeah, I have seen multiple times where the TA is looking beautiful for a move down or a move up, and this is where the rug pull happens. Is market makers set everybody up. Go, look, this looks like it's going this way. It's giving every signal to go one way, and then it'll hit a support line somewhere, and it'll just bounce up. Uncharacteristically, it'll bounce up and just take off. Excuse me, and it'll catch a lot of people. So that is always on the cards as well. Yeah. So as much as I'm confident about the moves down, I'm also mindful as well that it doesn't necessarily have to play out like that, but it is looking like that. Yeah. It's just this sideways needs to move on. Now I did want to show you my chart. I'm going to flick through my charts now. I'm looking for this. Now, sometimes what happens is that I have a chart, and when I zoom, this is on my support and resistance lines. These are my arc charts. You can see the channel moving down here. You can see the impulse 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, to me, it looks like we're coming for a 5 down here. Whether it happens now or not, we're looking for a 5 down here. Yeah. Let me. Where is it? Let's see. Find it now. Okay, hiding on me somewhere. I'll need to zoom out on one of these charts. Really, the one I wanted to show you was I think this chart here. I'll show it as well. Yeah, is you can see in the previous bear market is you get this final drop here. Yeah, and this final drop, when it happens, is a 67 and a quarter or so. Yeah, and equally here Here's 60, 68.46 or something. Yeah, you get that final dump before the pump, and it's just it's the bottoming out of the market. Yeah, and I believe potentially that we are in that at the moment. Yeah, and that from our high here, bringing it on down to 67 or so, is it takes us to about 18 cent, and potentially we are in this final phase now. Yeah, excuse me, and that we're just working our way up to it. So I still have my eye on this target here, this drop here. Yeah. It's bugging me now where that chart is. When I finish this now, I'll have to go searching for that chart, because I know I've clicked on it. It's just I most likely zoomed in, and anyway. So that's what I'm mindful of as well. Yeah. So now is when we take a look at the zoom in. Let's have a closer look now. Is the 10-hour has just turned. Yeah. The 10-hour has just turned. So you can see over the last couple of days is we've got our drop, we get a retrace back to the top, we get our drop, we get our retrace back to the top. Is we're getting a strong rejection candle on that previous 10-hour. The 10-hour's turned. As you can see, the 100 here again is starting to come down with a lot of pressure. It's breaking the 50. Now you can notice that, see the way that the 50 here, this one, went off sideways like this, again to catch price action. So when you start to see an MA float off like this, it's always the signal that price action is going to come up here and this is going to catch it. Yeah. So now you can see the pressure is coming down. The 5 here didn't turn, which again is in the 10 didn't turn, which is indicating that it still wants to head down. Yeah. So we got it, and there's the VWAP turning sideways. So we got to see what price action wants to do here. It is going to be a challenge for price action to break here, because on the daily, you can see the VWAP on the daily is at 38.68, but you can see how the price action keeps pulling down here. There's a lot of pressure to turn here. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the day we get a breakdown and the VWAP ends up snapping down and this candle turns red, because there's a bunch of times in the day so far where I've seen price action get down to here, and it's showing a lot of the VWAP. So there's an awful lot of pressure for this VWAP on today to snap, to turn. As tight, as strong as it is, a lot of pressure coming down. Yeah. So the next candle to turn of importance is the 12-hour, which is the turning of the midday. And again, look, you can see the pressure coming down here. Excuse me. So we got to see how that holds. We got to see how that holds. The daily, the VWAP on the daily is quite strongly turned up. So to have that snap down, if it does, that should create quite a lot of pressure coming down. Yeah. So now if we have a look, it's going back into the 9-hour, just have a little look back. Up to 5 is continuing down. It doesn't want to turn up. The 5 MA. Because if the 5 turns up again, it's sort of indicating that it wants to keep going up. You know. So you can see the pressure, see the battle going on. Again, look at it, even though price action is going up, you see the pull down here, and it comes up, the pull down again. So so as much as there's a push up, you can see the pull down, and the fact that the VWAP is pushing up. This is market makers. See, when the VWAP pushes up, but the MAs are coming down, this is the market makers pushing against the market. Yeah. So the market makers are forcing it back up here. The algorithm is forcing it back up here, where the market itself is like saying, no, we want to keep going down, you know. So you can see that's pretty strong there on the 8 hour. Let's flick into the 4 hour. Again, one of the things that really pushed us up as well, the 5 and MA took a turn yesterday and was pushing up with the VWAP, yeah. So that was the bulls pushing on this part. But you can see the 5 is starting to take a turn here. And then the 200, you see the 200 MA here coming down again. So now look at the way. I think this is very telling. The 200 moves at a lot slower pace. So you can see the 200 doesn't take big bends. But you see when the 200 starts to actually bend, see when it starts to do that there, it's following price action, yeah. So if you look at the 200 coming down here, is you can start to see the 200 take a dip. So you wouldn't call that much of a dip. You know, it could come up like this. But you see if it dips again, the 200 dips again, I think is a clear indication that the 200 is starting to head on down, yeah, and apply its own pressure. So even if there is a bit of sideways and price action comes back up, pushes down and comes back up one more time, it's quite possible that it'll hit the 200 here, and the 200 will just slap it down, yeah. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm just having a quick look into the daily here. Yeah, and then you can just see the daily again. You can see that it looks like it's topped out. Is if we weren't in a short already, you can see there was a short entry opportunity there. You get the top out, you get the first drop. Now here's the range. Okay, you pop your fibs on here, and there's your 702 entry, and boom, there you're in your short, yeah. So that would have been a short entry opportunity there if you weren't in a short. But again, you can see it battling on, yeah. Excuse me. So now there was our short. Excuse me. There was our short entry from yesterday. Yeah? Is that entry at 39.03? Stop loss here. Local target is 34.10. Yeah. And again, that's the breakout of this triangle. Yeah. Yeah. So you can see that's still in play. Okay. So the last thing I'm going to do is have a look at the stock indicators. Maybe one or two more. So here on the left is the 5 minute. It's back at the top. Okay, it's just a very short time frame, but you see it's back at the top. The 15 has had a push down. You see it's catching the breather here. Again, might want to catch a breather and push again. The half hour is down. So at some point these guys will need to come back up. The question is will they have another push down before they do it? Yeah. The hour is pushing down now, and it's giving a good push. The 2 hour bottom left, again, that's topped out. This looks like it's turning around again. The 3 hour again is back close to the top. And again, these have been ranging, so you can see the whole what's been going on in the 3 hour is that you're getting drops and back up. You get a drop back up, so you can see this just ranging in the center here. Pretty much the same with the 4 hour. Again, the 4 hours after taking a turn down to here, so the 4 hours got a breather here, so that's the 4 hour here. Yeah. Oh, my apologies. Sorry, this is the 4 hour here. Sorry, the 2 hour. I forgot I adjusted these. Yeah. Here's the 3 hour back at the top here, coming close to the top. Okay, and there's the 4 hour. What I said was still valid, but just here, it's the 4 hour. Yeah. Now the 8 hour is after getting a bit of a breather here, and looks like it wants to turn back down. Yeah. Now the ones where there's the 9 hour is with regards it pushing down again and coming back up for another breather is because the 12 hour, you can see the 12 hour here has turned up. So at the end of today, the 12 hour took a turn up. Yeah. So now there's still space for the 12 hour to head on down. So the question is that when the 12 hour turns in another hour and 15 minutes, I reckon it's going to turn down with the pressure that's coming on it. I reckon that's going to come down. We're going to have that push down. So it's quite possible that again we get. It depends on what the 20, I believe, on the daily. How much pressure that applies, plus what happens with the dailies turning tomorrow, is the 12 hour could decide to give us a push down. we come back up for another breather, and maybe we come up for a breather for a couple of 12 hours, yeah. And the 12 hour gets a breather, and even though the MAs turn and get a push down tomorrow, like the MAs that are going to turn on the 9th tomorrow, yeah, is they could push down, come back up for one more breather, and then we get a stronger push down like that, yeah. Excuse me. But potentially, I think it'll be a while before the 12 hour wants to come back up to the top like that. I could be wrong. But at some point, and the same with the 80 an hour, look, it's bottoming out here. It can still go down further, but you can see that it's down here, and these guys are going to need to at least come up at some point, catch a breather before they head on down. And then this here is the daily. See, the daily is still pushing down here. And again, the daily has still a good few days here where it can keep pushing, it can go deep, yeah. But you can see how much it's taken to get this turn on price action to turn, yeah. Now, one of the things I want to point out about the daily, and I want to point out the MACD on the daily. So, and I think this is key to the breakdown, yeah. So again, this is the daily, and here's the MAC. This one here is the MACD, and I'm waiting on this to finally crest. Well, it's cresting now and turn. But you can see on the 12 hour, it already crossed. It already crossed here, yeah. On the 18 hour, again, it's already crossed. So I'm waiting for the daily to cross on the MACD, because again, that'll be a nice key sign that it's ready for a stronger push down. Yeah. So that's what I'm waiting on. Is now when we go to, these are the daily stocks. So again, top left, this is the day. This is the 2 day, which again is going to turn tomorrow. So it'd be great to see this take a turn. You see the 3 day is already starting to turn. Again, the 4 day isn't going to turn tomorrow. Neither is the 5 day. And again, the 5 day is pushing down, it's resisting a little bit at the moment. Here's the 6 day pushing strongly, and then here's the weekly. So again, and then here's the 2 weekly. So you can see there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on the later time frames, pushing down. Yeah. Basically holding price action where it is and looking for it to push to another level. Yeah. So now let's have a quick look at the divergences. Again, this one here, bottom second on the right. This is the 8 hour where this bearish divergence is still pushing on. Yeah. I don't think this is going to finish until it actually breaks back below the oversold. Yeah. But this bearish divergence is all the way up to the 18 hour, so pushing down. So until the 18 hour, again, excuse me, breaks below the oversold, I don't think this bearish divergence here is complete. But on the shorter time frames, the 4 hour, look, you can see the bullish divergence is pushing back up against it. Yeah. So this bullish divergence is pretty close, I believe, to playing out. You can see it's pushed up, is dropped back down, it's pushed up again, is dropped back down. Does it have one more push up in it before it finally breaks? And then we'll have the continuation of the bearish divergence. Yeah. So that's what I'm watching on. Now more locally, top right here is the 1 hour, and again you can see bearish divergence on the 1 hour has appeared again. But not on the bottom left. Here is the 2 hour, not in the 2 hour. So you can see 15 minute, the half hour, and the hour have bearish divergence. So again, they're applying the pressure. And then this is the last one I'm going to point out is the EMAs. Let's just have a look at the EMAs. Yeah. So I'll go to the hourly EMAs. And again, you can see with the can see with the triangle here, the breaking out of it, yeah, is you can see that on the 1 hour, you can see on the 1 hour here again, the 1 hour crossed over here, and you get the spill, you get the back test of the 55, the spill, the back test of the 55, and again the 20, the white one here again looks like we're heading for another rejection and then another drop down, yeah. So when we go to the 4 hour, yeah, we're just observing. Is on the 4 hour, you can see there's less crossings of the 20. So you can see the topping out here. Actually, you can see that. You see the spill from here, and here it tries to break. It gets a rejection. The white eventually breaks it. You get this sideways consolidation. We're getting the spill, and there it crosses over. There's the 20 crossing over again. Back testing at the 55, and the spill continues down. Yeah. Same on the 8 hour, you can see the 8 hour. So there's the 12. 12 hours doing the same. See the 12 hour, the 20 never got back to break above the 55. Equally on the daily. And again, I'm doing this for a reason, yeah. You can see on the daily where you got the spill here and back tested the 55 rejection. That play between the 55 and the 20. Now we've broken below the 20, and you can see the 20 has been resistance here. Rejection, 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 and price action couldn't get to it this time. But you can see that played with there, yeah. And then equally the last one, when you go to the weekly, you go to the weekly again, look at this crossing. This is a trigger point because right on this, you know, the trigger point is when the crossing happens, when the candle that crosses over is drops down, yeah. That's the trigger point. Again, you can see on the weekly, you can see the play of it here. Again, you can see the play of it here. You can see the weekly looking like, again, there's that tipping point. Let me this out of the way. So you can see the tipping point, and again you can see that it's starting to work its way down, yeah. So you can see with the point of view of the TA, it's very hard to believe that this isn't going to drop further, yeah. And when we do a zoom out, and I put the fib from the top of price action at this peak, $1.96. There's the bottom of the last bear market at 10 cent 59. You can see price action has dropped to the golden pocket, the 0.065, come back up above the 0.5, and again is now finding its way back down again. And there's a clear pattern here where if this had only dropped to the 0.5 and held here, I'd be going, okay, this potentially is the bottom, and it's going to head back up. This happens all the time. When the correction breaks below the 0.5 and starts to get into the range of the golden pocket, you always get a bounce. You get a bounce off it, and then you get another leg down, and generally the target is the minimum is 702. XRP loves its 786, but a 702 target is almost always guaranteed, yeah. Is a 786 is equally on the cards as well, yeah. So like a 702 here is at 25 cent, yeah. So the 786 is at 1957, yeah. Again, it could go lower. It might want to come as level as again the 17, 18 cent. This is a market that crypto's never been in with regards heading into depressions and things like that. For the whole lifespan of the crypto market is there's been an awful lot of money printing, and the behavior there is dynamically changing, yeah. So what has always been done for the last 10 or 12 years, we can't be guaranteed that the same behavior with governments and their finances is going to continue, because they're sort of running out of steam. Is the same trick isn't going to continually work anymore. So something new is going to happen, something different is going to happen. So we have to expect that with cryptocurrencies as well, that something new is going to happen in the pattern. Something different will happen, yeah. And the only thing that I can think is that it breaks it breaks the limits. Cryptocurrency breaks the limits that it would normally range in, which essentially means it could go lower. It could go lower than we would anticipate, and start to break limits that hasn't broken before. A simple example would be on Bitcoin breaking below the 200 MA on the weekly, and staying below that. Historically, is I don't believe it's done that until this time. Yeah, so things like that will show themselves. so anyway, so yeah, so you can see what I'm talking about here, and then potentially is, again, this looks like the impulsive correction. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. It's just a matter of excuse me, when this wants to play out. So will we get the flash crash, which we have had in the past, the flash crash, boom, or will we get something a bit more systematic, where it just gradually finds its way down over time? Yeah, that's the question. So that's it. That's me telling myself my TA story. Now I'm telling you my TA story, and let's see what it wants to do. Yeah. So I think it's just a matter of time. I think it's just a matter of time before we finally get the breaking of this range here, and then it'll be very interesting to see how it wants to behave. It will be very interesting to see what happens. Yeah. Okay, so that's me for now. I'm going to hand you over to Michaela. Enjoy the rest of your day, and yeah, keep well. Cheers.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Let's see where we are. I don't have too much to talk about today, because we've been ranging sideways since the bigger push down yesterday. But what I want to point out is a similar situation in both drops for the S&P, because I believe crypto will follow S&P. So we need to have a look and see how the previous turn down happened in terms of the MAs. And I'm going to take, now there are different combinations of MAs that you can take. I'm taking the ones that I have here on the Traders Reality Indicator, the 5 and the 13 EMA. And I pointed this out on the Discord yesterday, the fact that the 5 crossed down over the 13. Now, it crossed down over the 200 as well, but the fact that it crossed down over the 13 is more relevant for our conversation today. So we can have a look at the previous 2 swings here. The same thing happened. The 5 crossed over the 13, the 5 crossed over the 13. Now they were in different relations to the 200. This one, the 5 crossed over the 13. After crossing down the 200, this one at the same time, and this one initially. So that's why I'm not taking the 200, I'm choosing the 5 over the 13 EMA. Now they're both shorter time intervals, so they indicate faster than other crossings any particular change. And I am taking them on the daily, so even though they are fast signals, they are on a higher time frame because they are on the daily. So I was looking at this yesterday thinking, okay, we've crossed it, now we're gonna keep going. Well, it's not so simple, because every time this is crossed, so if I take the previous here and if I take the previous here, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of sideways in the previous scenario. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4 days of sideways, and I expect we might have a couple of days of sideways too here, unless something dramatic happens. So unless we get some dramatic news, if I backtest this, I see that when this crossing happened, it was followed by sideways, again consolidation, order collection, and then another drop to the downside. So it didn't reverse, even though those sideways might have been even pushing up against the 5 or against the 13. They didn't reverse. On the contrary, they continued down quite forcefully. So I believe we're going to be in for the same kind of fight that we've had previously. Now, this makes for very boring trading, and in tonight's session, I'm gonna show you the possible entries that you could have had for Bitcoin and Ethereum this week. As strange as the week was with all the sideways, there were trades to be taken, but we need to refine the entries and the exits a little bit in order to catch those moves on the daily trades. Now, it is quite hard, particularly right now, to trade, because you need to catch the best position. If you fail to catch the top or the bottom of the swing, then you're in sideways for a long time, paying your fees, and of course getting exhausted waiting for your move to happen. So there's a lot of energy, mental energy consumption there. So we want to avoid that. Anyways, the point I was trying to make here is that for the S&P in the previous drops, there was the initial move that brought the 5 over the 13 EMA, and then there was sideways with the 5 is still pushing down, but that sideways again consolidated the push down, and after the sideways it continued down. So I expect to see this kind of a pattern again. We haven't had yet that 0.5 correction of the swing, and that back test of the wedge for the S&P. We haven't had that again. In order to continue either to reverse to the upside or to continue to the downside, we need to see that wedge being back tested and that 0.5 correction being made. Same as in yesterday's talk. So we need to see that this white line here being back tested. If it is back tested and it holds, we're going to do another swing up. If it is back tested and it fails to hold as support, we're going to come down for 786, and my technical target would be from there onward down to the midline. The midline might catch it and do another swing up like this, or it might fail and come down. So we need to see it step by step, because we are in very tricky, very volatile times. Now, the ETH and the Bitcoin conversation will be quite short because they haven't moved too much. You will see they've done a very small sideways range yesterday. So what we have here is we've closed below the 20 EMA on the daily. We need to close below the 20 EMA on the daily today as well, and the downturn is confirmed, and the strongest signal of a lift has failed, because crossing over the 20 EMA to my mind is one of the strongest signals that we've had lately. So this has failed. We have the stochastic on the daily turning down, the regular RSI failing to meet and cross the midline. The trend to me seems very clearly downward. We are still in the same 4-hour structure. We haven't moved away from it. We are somewhere right around here. A lot of people are looking at this as a bear flag. I don't do bear flags so much. No, I don't do bear flags at all, sorry, in my TA, because I don't think they are as reliable as other TA patterns. But again, we can see a lot of rejection, both at the top and at the bottom, and the candle size getting smaller and smaller. So it's definitely coiling up to do something. On the 4-hour momentum, we've had a weird crossing, the 50 crossing over the 200, but they're both coming down. So this is really interesting to see, because price action has been coming down, and this 50 has been stubborn going upwards, and it did cross the 200, sorry. So again, if we have a lot of volatility and market manipulation, generally when this happens is we see a back test to it. It would be a high back test. XRP did it last night. Maybe ETH will do it too. Anyways, this crossing of the 50 over the 200 on the 4-hour to me is quite interesting, and it's a It's not a red flag, but it's an orange flag. It gets me to watch it a little bit more carefully. So here we have our 1 hour levels for ETH. Again, nothing major has happened because we have backtested the previous level of support and resistance. We failed. The 1 hour stochastic is at the top. Again, could this do another lift up to the top line? Yes, it could. Do a quadruple top? Absolutely. Could you trade it? Yes, you could. Don't trade without a stop loss. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't trade without a stop loss right now. Of course, it's not financial advice because I'm not a financial analyst, but or specialist. But what I want to say is that it could do a lift up. That lift up could be tradable, but you need to have your signals when you enter that trade. Again, I would be watching, if you're not in a short position, I would be watching to see if I can catch that lift to enter a short position because the trade is down. Now, for the Bitcoin, we have the same situation. We've crossed down the 20 EMA on the daily. The stochastic has a little bit more integrity than Ethereum's. It's not yet back in the normal range box. It's heading down on the daily, and we need to close the day below the 20 to seal the deal. So to have a proper rejection from the 20 EMA. We are on this 4 hour and 1 hour trend line, support and resistance in this consolidation channel, moving up and down literally along the 16,800 for the past 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 25 hours. It's our 26th hour of small range sideways. A really terrible action, price action to trade. Now, in today's post trade analysis, we'll be looking at how to catch these positions and where to catch them and how to trade them. So it won't be a long conversation. It'll just be a refinement of your trading skills so that you can trade this range and make gains. Because any sort of volatility is tradable, even if you're just doing low leverage, it's still tradable if you are careful and you're trading it up and down. Okay, so that's it. I will be posting on Discord now the updates. It's really just keeping an eye on it and making sure you have your stop losses and your take profits in. So I know we're waiting for bigger moves, but as I was explaining to you yesterday, what I'm looking for in my Bitcoin trade, I've an entry at 17,100 here. What I'm waiting for is for this to hit the midline here at 16,300. Now I know this is a long-term trade, and I know Bitcoin is. I have a daily target of 13.3, but I'm also gonna check to see if there is a double bottom structure forming around 16.3 because I don't want to get caught in another swing up and trapped. I would love to trade that swing up if it happens. So we are caught between right now doing a longer term trade and a shorter term trade. When I took this position somewhere around here, yes, somewhere. It was this swing, yes. When I took this position somewhere around here, I was thinking that this is it, especially when it broke the previous low. This is it, and I didn't take my profit here because I thought, okay, we're going to continue lower. And then, of course, it gave me plenty of choices, but it lifted up and took all my profit away from me. So I stayed in this because I was waiting for the level 3 drop. I am still waiting for the level 3 drop, but I'm going to play this a little bit more smartly, and I'm going to take my profit if I see any double bottom structure on the midline. So that's it from me. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat in terms of your trades. I'm still watching the 4-hour divergence line being broken for Bitcoin, and it hasn't been backtested by the RSI, but it's still heading down. And again, I won't be looking to take any profits until the 4-hour heads down and is floored down. So that's it. Trade carefully. I'll keep you guys posted. We have news tomorrow. So today should be a quiet day, resetting the market in expectation for tomorrow. And tomorrow what we have, it's not, yeah, I was like, what? It's the core PPI, it's the core PPI, and it usually brings volatility into the market. And I do expect after this coiling up situation here, Bitcoin has been moving in a 0.6% range, Ethereum has been moving in a 1.6 range. So after all of this, there will be some movement. If it doesn't happen today, it's going to happen tomorrow. So trade carefully whichever position you choose. I wouldn't place a trade without a stop loss where we are right now. I will see you guys tonight, and best of luck trading.